In the late 1930s, Albert Einstein further stoked the fear of the U.S. and its allies as their militaries prepared to push back against German aggression. He told President Roosevelt German scientists had learned to split a uranium atom. The federal government soon began the top-secret Manhattan Project to develop nuclear weapons before the Germans could. Springfield native Robert Moon was a University of Chicago physicist and a key player in the Manhattan Project. Chemist Edward Mallinckrodt of St. Louis asked Washington to give him the contract to enrich uranium from the Belgian Congo.
And then Mallinckrodt comes along and says, yes, we will do it. We'll do it in St. Louis. And Mallinckrodt said, we don't want to have any of the liability. And the U.S. government said, you won't, but we will own all of this uranium.
State Senator Maria Chappelle-Nadal will be the first to tell you she's not a scientific expert. But she's done hours of homework and held dozens of town halls in her North St. Louis County district to teach her constituents the truth about where they live.
In the 1950s, there was a St. Louis County, but it was mostly farmland. And the haulers were paid by the loads that they were able to get rid of. So the more radioactive waste they were able to get rid of, the more they got paid, not knowing that there was an impact.
The Mallinckrodt Chemical Company enriched uranium here in downtown St. Louis, and when they ran out of room, they started shipping it here to a 20-acre plot of land north of the St. Louis airport. Now, in the early 60s, a contractor bought that waste from the airport, began extracting minerals from it, and then left the residue behind here at Laddie Avenue in Hazelwood. And most of that material eventually made its way west to Colorado. About 9,000 tons of it was illegally dumped here in the early 70s in Westlake Landfill.
They had mountains of it. They had enough waste to fill our Busch Stadium to the top. I mean, that's how much waste was left over. I don't think they realized that they would have so much of it. I've been in this house now 11 years.
Dawn Chapman's story is one you'll hear from thousands of other working-class people in North St. Louis County. She looked around these suburbs for a home and began to visualize her version of the American dream.
We handpicked this house for our family because I was pregnant with my first child and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So we knew we could afford this house on a single income.
Chapman's dream home is about 2 miles from a landfill. A few years ago, a strange smell took over her neighborhood, and she learned 2 miles is too close for comfort.
I literally thought somebody's house was on fire. I couldn't see smoke, but it was heavy and thick.
That smell, Chapman noticed, was a result of a fire at the landfill. But crews couldn't just put this out and call it a day. She learned this when she called the Missouri Department of Natural Resources.
Okay, you're going to do something about it. What, 2-3 months? No, decade plus. I mean, it got bigger, and well, it's not trash burning. It's Superfund site. It's chemicals burning.
Subsurface smoldering is the term scientists prefer to use to describe the fire still burning hundreds of feet below the surface at the Bridgeton landfill. If that wasn't enough to make Chapman concerned, the DNR told her there's more.
It said you also have radioactive waste on the site, and we're very concerned about the fire meeting that and causing an event. How do we get radioactive waste on the site? He said, well, you know, it's from the Manhattan Project.
St. Louisans like to think of themselves as America's best baseball fans, so let's put the distance between the fire and the waste into perspective. At most ball fields, it's a little more than 300 feet down the line from home plate to the foul pole. So the fire is about 3 ball fields or 1,000 feet away from the waste. North County residents like Chapman simply want to know, will the fire reach the waste? The problem is, it depends who you ask. The EPA, under its Superfund program, has to point its finger at the landfill owner, Republic Services. The EPA's experts and Republic Services experts say they've got the situation under control. But Attorney General Chris Koster is taking the lead for the state of Missouri. The experts he's worked with paint a much more grim picture. He's pointing a finger at Republic Services by suing them and is pointing a finger at the EPA for failing to act quickly. Meanwhile, local emergency managers can't get caught up in the squabbling. They have to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Maria Chappelle-Nadal represents the area in the state Senate and wants to get people out of harm's way before that worst-case scenario occurs. She wants either the state or federal government to apologize to nearby residents by offering to buy out their homes. That remedy isn't cheap. Legislative researchers estimate it would cost $11 million to buy out the homes within a mile of the landfill, and the tab goes up to $7 billion if the state were to buy out all homes within 3 miles of Coldwater Creek.
People say, well, just come up with a solution. We have no book that we can turn to, chapter 5. What do you do when you have this type of fire, this type of... There's nothing. We're writing the book right now.